Hello, welcome to a live edition of Locked On Sharks, the premier hockey podcast of your favorite fourth picking team in the NHL. We're going to be discussing the Sharks drafting fourth, what this means for them, who could be possibly available. Connor Bedard going to Chicago. We're going to talk about Bob McKenzie's latest top 12. So all that and more on today's episode of Locked On Sharks.
You're Locked On Sharks, your daily podcast on the San Jose Sharks. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
I'm your host, JD Young, contributor at San Jose Hockey Now, and I want to thank you for making Locked On Sharks your first or second, depending on when you're listening, if you're watching the live show. But this will be tomorrow's episode as well. But making us your first listen. We are free and available wherever you get podcasts. And of course, proudly a part of the Locked On Network, where we cover your team every day. And the Sharks, of course, stay put at number 4 in the draft lottery. So we're going to be talking about the lottery, talking about Bedard going to Chicago. Going to be talking about, we have Smith versus Michkov versus Carlsson. So plenty of stuff to get into. And of course, please, if you're watching live and you haven't done already, subscribe on YouTube. Helps me out the most. If you want to know the best way to help me out, subscribing and watching on YouTube is the best way to go. But let's start with that. The Connor Bedard sweepstakes going to Chicago wins it. Just brutal. I said I was doing the hosting of the live stream for the Locked On channel. And just brutal. Chicago does not deserve him. They don't, especially with everything that's going on with them. They should not even have this pick to begin with. They don't deserve him. And yeah, so the silver lining of it is at least we don't have to watch Connor Bedard in those stupid orange jerseys down in Anaheim for the next 15 years. So that is the one silver lining about it. So yes, even though they're going to get Adam Fantilli, and I've said it before, and I've said it many, many times, reach for the Bedard and you'll land among if you miss, you land among the Fantilli and elite. We're going to have to deal with Adam Fantilli. That Zegras Fantilli McTavish down the center is brutal to think about, but at least Connor Bedard, right? We already have McDavid in Edmonton. We don't need Bedard down in Anaheim. So that is the one silver lining for it. So, but we know, so Bedard is going to go to Chicago. We know Fantilli is going to go to Anaheim, and the draft's really going to start with number 3 with the Blue Jackets. And that's going to leave the Sharks still in a very, very, very good place, right? So no matter who Columbus takes, the Sharks are still going to be able to pick an awesome player, whether it's Michkov, whether it's Leo Carlsson, or whether it's Will Smith. And Will Smith has been flying up the boards here as of recently, especially Bob McKenzie's latest top 12, which we'll get into it here in a little bit. But Will Smith is entering that top 5, top 3 conversation with the way he really ended his season, especially with the U18s. But with the Sharks still picking 4th, right? I know there's many Sharks fans. We missed out all these wins, and there's so many things that could have gone their way or didn't go their way, et cetera, et cetera. And it's yes, we can go back and look at all the wins or losses or overtimes and that led to this moment. But it's not healthy. Okay. Like, let it go. It's best just look forward, right? The Sharks are going to get an awesome player in the top, picking at number 4. Like Leo Carlsson would be, a top pick in a lot of drafts, right? Michkov, if the Sharks decide to go in that direction, you're looking at a potential superstar, and at the moment he steps on the ice in the NHL. Will Smith, a dynamic center. You're going to get someone excellent no matter who they pick at 4, right? The Sharks are going to have an awesome player at number 4. So we're going to get into plenty of content this week. I have a really, really fun episode planned for Friday where we're going to be discussing Carlsson versus Michkov and what the Sharks should do there. So make sure you guys are subscribing for that. But, even the rest of the draft board, like nothing else really kind of crazy happened with that. And, it's the weird thing about the, you do all the tankathons and you do all the sims to try to see, what's going to happen. And you see all these teams jumping up, but how often, right? It's usually one of these top 4 teams that, is, usually, gets one of these picks. And, someone already like DM me, man, if Taves had scored in the, if he had scored that breakaway goal in the end, the Sharks would have been 3rd and they would have won. And it's like, yeah, or if one of the, a million things happens differently, if James Reimer makes a save here or save there or something like that, like there's so many things that could have happened. So it's tough to look back at that. But like I said, you should be really happy. The Sharks haven't had a pick like this in a long, since Patrick Marleau was the last time they picked this high. And Patrick Marleau worked out really, really well for the Sharks, right? Granted, they end up getting both the top picks with Joe Thornton and Patrick Marleau eventually. But yeah, I think one thing is do not trade down, right? We do not trade down from the 4th pick. I don't care. This is a chance to get an elite player for the Sharks. That's what they need, right? You feel really good about your Eklunds and your Bordelos and your Gushins and stuff like that, but they need blue chip players that they just do not have right now. Yes, do not trade out of this pick. Take the best player, and we have plenty of time over the next 6 weeks or so to try to determine who the best player is for the Sharks. But still, we're going to be really, really happy about whoever we pick. So before we continue, we're going to look at Bob McKenzie's top 12 that he put out last week. Look at who he has the Sharks. Our good friend Chris Peters already dropped a top 16 draft, mock draft right now. So we're going to be looking at some of these, and then I'm going to answer some of your guys' questions to end this. So before we do all that, though, do need to take a quick break. Tell you about our good friends over at Indeed. And right now, you're trying to find quality candidates. And you guys know that there's no I in team, but there is one in Indeed, and that's the hiring platform you need to build your team. So when you're hiring, you need Indeed. Indeed's the hiring platform where you can attract, interview, and hire all in one place instead of spending hours on multiple job search sites searching for candidates with the right skills. Indeed's a powerful hiring platform and help you do it all. They streamline their hiring with powerful tools to help you find matched candidates. And the best thing about them, with their candidates, they invite the candidates to apply. Like, makes it easy, right? They're doing all the work for you. They invite them to apply, and they're 3 times more likely to apply to your job than candidates who are only set into search, according to U.S. Indeed data. They go through the resumes and try to find quality candidates that match what you are looking for. So what you need to do right now, join one of the more than 3 million businesses worldwide that use Indeed to hire great talent fast. Start hiring now with a $75 sponsored job credit to upgrade your job post at Indeed.com/lockedon. Offer good for a limited time. Claim your $75 credit now at Indeed.com/lockedon. Indeed.com/lockedon. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed. All right, I'm already seeing a lot of Michkov, and we will get there. You can, depending on the day, you can tell me, you can ask me, I'm going to say Leo Carlsson or I'm going to say Michkov. Right now, I'm feeling Michkov today. Ask me again tomorrow. We'll see how I feel. But again, right, you're going to get an awesome player. And okay, we'll start with the Michkov talk right now. Like, we already, Mike Greer has already said that Michkov coming over in the 26-27 season, he doesn't care about that. Like that's your first clue, right? We've already seen other GMs kind of go about Michkov, especially with we've already seen, Mukamadulon is part of who was playing in the KHL, part of the Timo Meier trade, the key piece in the part of the Timo Meier trade, right? They signed a Russian goalie. The Sharks, Mike Grier, not afraid to deal with the Russians. And if they think Michkov is the best player, I have a feeling Mike Grier might be the guy to pull the trigger there because, again, he's the biggest wild card, right, with Michkov. Michkov's the Russian factor, the 3 years. And I hear the people saying, right, like, don't draft somebody you're not going to see for 3 years. Guess what? Most of the players you draft, you're not going to see in the NHL for 3 years anyway, right? Bedard, boom. We know Bedard's going to be in the NHL next year, right? Adam Fantilli, probably going back to Michigan. Leo Carlsson, probably going back to Sweden. But like Will Smith, probably going to spend 2 years in college, right? Leonard, going to spend a couple years in college. Like, we're going to see a bunch of these guys who, like, they're not going to be huge impact players right away. And if Michkov, if he spends his 3 years playing in the second best league in the world, steps on the NHL and is basically a 70-point player from day one, sign me up for that. So let's look at the old Bob father. So Bob McKenzie, if you don't know, he polls and he talks to GMs, to GMs, to scouts. So his is like the list, right? His list is kind of a really good gauge, and you're going to see lists from a bunch of people, but Bob McKenzie puts out a list. This is like the Bible list of what to kind of expect, right? And he, going into last year's draft, right, it was Shane Wright, and then, Bob McKenzie the day before is like, it's Slafkovsky. And guess what happened? Slafkovsky went first, right? So this is what he is hearing from other people. Of course, Connor Bedard is number one. Our friends at FanDuel, you can't even bet on Connor Bedard being picked number one. They're only doing who's the second pick in the draft, which I think is hilarious. That is how much of a slam dunk Connor Bedard is going to be. Number two, Fantilli. Again, it'll be interesting to see what the Ducks do with Fantilli, especially you're gonna have a new coach, right? It kind of feels like Zegras, you're gonna have McTavish in year two, Drysdale getting back. Are they going to want Fantilli to go back and play a year, or do they want to kind of play with your new toy and see how he fits in? Interesting decision what they're going to do there. So we'll see. And if not, you can always, if you have him go play in the AHL, whatever, we'll see. But just one of the little interesting storylines. So number three, though, is Will Smith, who, like I said, has been flying up the boards right now. And that is who, as of right now, that is who Bob McKenzie has number three on his rankings. So that will leave for the Sharks number four with Leo Carlsson, the center / winger out of Sweden. So I've been very much on the Leo Carlsson. I enjoy Leo Carlsson. I think Leo Carlsson would be a great pick for the Sharks. What he's doing in Sweden as, a 17, 18-year-old is basically we haven't seen before. He doesn't have the upside of Michkov, right? Michkov could be a potential 100-point player, and I don't think Carlsson can be that guy, but Carlson's floor is a dominant power winger, and his ceiling is an elite 1C, which the Sharks do not have. So it feels a safer pick because he's going to come over at some point. But if Mike Grier wants to swing for the fences, Michkov, I think, is going to be that guy who will talk about number five. So number five is Michkov, which would be the Canadiens pick. I don't know if that is the way they go, especially hearing from the GM today. I think he sounded a little queasy, we'll say, quote unquote, about that. And I think they want someone who can contribute a little bit quicker for them. So just because, again, you kind of have the core there of guys, and with Slafkovsky and Caulfield and Suzuki and Kirby Dach, you kind of feel like you have some guys there, and waiting 3 years for Michkov to show up, that's feels like an eternity for that core. So Dvorsky, number 6, Ryan Leonard, number 7. I'm going to try to do a Ryan Leonard profile here soon, just in case. I still don't think. I think we know it's going to be either Smith, Carlsson, or Michkov, but stranger thing, Mike Greer and his college kids. So number 8, Zach Benson, who I love, and I know he's 5'9", but I love Zach Benson. Gabe Perreault, who I just did, is number 9. So we just talked with Chris Peters about him. Felt like he could have been there for the Sharks with the Devils pick. It does not seem like that anymore. So number 10, the first defenseman, David Reinbacher. And then Colby Barlow at 11. Matthew Wood would be at number 12. So that is Bob McKenzie's kind of top list right now. Our good friend Chris Peters over at Flow Hockey. Make sure you guys go check out the article. He has the Sharks also picking Leo Carlsson. He says the Sharks have a good number of options, and some teams are starting to move Will Smith ahead of Leo Carlsson. If you believe the scout rumor mill, the thing about Carlsson, however, he's got the size. He's got the potential to play down the middle despite a lot of time at wing this year. And he's exceptionally skilled. That rare combination of size and skill is so hard to pass up, especially as a team is looking to get themselves back on track. So, yes, manifesting. We're gonna manifest Fantilli to go full Shane Wright. So we just need we need the Ducks to do something silly, and we need Columbus to freeze, just like the Coyotes did last year when Shane Wright went right past them. Anyway, so that's right now. It's the mocks are gonna say Leo Carlsson, depending on, again, what happens with Will Smith or Michkov. In the Chris Peters ones, he does have Columbus taking Michkov. I don't know. Talking to our good friend Jay from Locked On Blue Jackets, they need a center badly. I know you should never draft for need, and when you're picking this high, right, you just want to pick the best player available. So it'll be interesting. So I think they go center. So the hope is that you, at least in my mind, I would like the way I kind of rank it right as of right now at 745. I have Michkov, Carlsson, then Smith, personally. But again, ask me in like a week, I might have Carlsson, Michkov, Smith, or whoever. But you hope that maybe Will Smith is the one that kind of jumps up and they take him, and then the Sharks are basically left with those two guys. So before we continue, and we're going to talk, I'm going to just kind of answer you guys' questions. So throw some questions in the chat. I'll try to answer as many as I can before I get out of here. Do want to thank you guys for making Locked On Sharks your first listen. 44 of you guys in the stream right now. So much love to all of you guys right now. You guys are the best. If you want to be an everydayer, though, come back tomorrow. We're going to be talking about what the Sharks can do with that Devils pick. If they wanted to package the Devils pick and their second round pick, how far up can they get? So we're going to look back at recent trades of just picks, like draft day picks, to see how far they can get up and who would that kind of put them into range for. So make sure you guys are following along wherever you get podcasts, watching on YouTube, all that fun stuff. So thank you guys, of course. All right. Let's answer some of your questions. So we're seeing a lot of Michkov. Again, options galore. So someone thinks Zegras is overrated. That is an interesting. Still, if Zegras is your second best player behind Bedard on your team, you'd be feeling really good. And now is Zegras probably going to be your second best player behind Fantilli? I would take that. So I get like the Zegras is an interesting player. I like Zegras, but yes. So let's see. Michkov and Simicek in the first, not bad. Michkov feels at home with all the Russians that we have. Like look at the prospect, the Sharks blue line next year. Like you have Knizhov, Mukhamadullin, Hotek. I'm still working on his name, but like Mike Greer, not afraid of the Russian factor. So yes. What else? Jonathan Reed, I think Michkov is the best. He played with Mukhamadullin too. So there we go. Mukhamadulin's going to be using all of his influence for having been there for 3 weeks and be like, hey, we should draft Michkov. So if Carlsson goes at 3, I don't see how the Sharks can't go for Michkov. Greer needs to take a big swing. And yeah, again, like I've said, the Sharks have a lot of singles and doubles. I would say Eklund's a triple probably, but they don't have that blue chip prospect where you can point to him and be like, that's the dude. I can see that dude being, like that guy, right? And if you remember way back when I had Sam McGilligan on to talk about Michkov, he said Carlsson or Eklund and Michkov together would be insane. Just the way Eklund thinks the game, and then Michkov's shooting ability and the way he thinks the game too. Like those two partnered together would be insane. So, if Michkov is underrated, if Sharks pass on him, they'll regret it. We shall see. Right now, I'm slightly leaning Michkov, but again, ask me in like 2 days and see how I feel. So, just don't agree to pick Smith or Reinbecker. I think Reinbecker, like we've seen the Shark. I think Mike Grier will be picking a defenseman with either the late first or that second round pick. This draft is way too loaded with forwards up front. And I think we've seen Mike Grier put a lot of resources into the blue line. I would be shocked if they picked a defenseman with pick number 4. I think they're going forward, and I think like I said, it's going to be Smith, Michkov, or Carlsson right now. So that's Sharks always go off the board for picks. It makes me nervous. Different regime, buddy. Different regime. So it's you can't hold what the Sharks have done in the past. Even last year, right? Mike Grier ran the draft, but that was based off of a previous regime's scouts and stuff. So we will see kind of what they do with this draft. So again, I think picking at 4, it's pretty hard, I think, to screw up unless you like really reach for a player. But yeah, so yeah, Gabe Perreault, I was super hoping he would be there for the Sharks at 26 or 28 or wherever that Devils pick is going to be. Jaden Perron though. So hopefully just choose. Yeah. Kano TV says just choose Michkov and gamble. We, right now we'll see. Yeah. Perot's not falling that far. Again, he's really good. So JD, are you relieved to settle at 4? What was your emotional? You can watch the live stream. I was happy with it. I was more just annoyed that Chicago won the draft. But again, I was kind of new. Like I went into it expecting them to just kind of stay put, right? At 4. And again, like I've said all this whole show, right? Carlsson, Michkov, give me one of those guys, and I'm going to be super happy. So, how do you think this affects EK65 trade talk? That's going to be interesting. That'll be interesting because if what the Sharks do there, right? If Carlsson, I think it's just up to Carlsson. If Carlsson wants to leave, Mike Grier is going to make it happen. If Carlson's like, you know what, I want to stay, then that's it, right? He has all the leverage in this. And, if a team that maybe like got knocked out in the first round or barely missed the playoffs here, I'm trying to pull up, again, I'm just kind of doing this off the top of my head. What if like the Red Wings, who are kind of, again, he would have to agree to this, but like, what if the Red Wings were like, yo, we'll give you 18, which is the Winnipeg Jets pick. And you eat, 18 is kind of the centerpiece. And then you have 4, 18, and 28 in this year's draft. Sharks maybe have to eat part of the draft, the package, have to eat, X amount of salary or whatever. But if that's the kind of the basis of it, it's going to be really hard to pass up, especially if Carlsson doesn't want to stay here anymore. But again, that's what I would be trying to do. Maybe a team like, again, it's just tough because it's like, I don't know who there's just like all those teams that kind of missed the playoffs. They also really like traded their picks as well. So we'll have plenty of time to talk about Carlsson, but if you get 3 picks in this draft, then that'd be fun. package deal 4 and EK65 for you're not moving up. Yeah, no way. So yeah, you're not moving up. So yeah. Just yeah. Trade Carlsson to Chicago for Bedard. Seth Jones would throw a full on tantrum. So no, nobody's trading. You want to be the GM that trades away Connor Bedard. I know Wayne Gretzky got traded, etc., but he also won like multiple Stanley Cups for Edmonton before that happened. So, are you going to trade that guy? Yeah. No, I'm not trading. No, I'm not trading this pick because again, even 6-12, that's very tempting. I want to walk away with this draft with an elite guy, a guy who is no doubt your best prospect in the prospect pool, whether it's Carlsson, whether it's Michkov. I want to walk away with at least one of those two guys. And then again, I know this draft is deep, but it's also like the blue chip guys at the top. Again, these are like Leo Carlsson's in the discussion to be a number 1 pick in most drafts. The Michkov ceiling is insane, right? He could rival Bedard as the best player in this draft 5-6 years from now. So I'm not trading that pick. I'm not trading that pick. Having one of those guys, this team needs blue chip talent. So, all right. Why, man? No, Carlsson's. I guess that's fine right now. Bedard, Fantilli, Michkov, Carlsson. I like Carlsson. Like I said, somebody at my preference again. Right now, I am leaning Michkov. If I do rank them right as of this moment, Michkov 1, Carlsson number 2, Smith number 3. My preference between those two. Ask me tomorrow. It might be Carlsson, Michkov, Smith. Who knows? But Carlsson, Michkov, you pick which one you want there. Again, Michkov's ceiling is super insane. Carlsson does have the center potential where he could be, an elite 1C. Worst case scenario is he's an extremely awesome power forward who's 6'4" and can skate like the wind. So yeah. But all right. Let's see. All right, one more. Why are we down on Smith? I think my personal thing with Will Smith is look at his line, right? He's got to play with awesome people like Ryan Leonard. He's got to play with Ryan Leonard, who's going to be a top 10 pick. He's got to play with Gabe Perreault. Like, he's got to play with awesome players. And yes, he's going to continue to play with awesome players throughout his time. And I know he could score, all that stuff. He doesn't really focus on the defensive zone, which again, if you're going to, I'm very much defenses for nerds, go score a bunch of points. But if you're going to be a center, which is what he's going to be, you kind of need to do that part at least a little bit for me. So I just think with Carlsson and Michkov, they're also playing much better competition, and that's no fault to Will Smith, right? He is going to, that's just part of the U.S. experience, right? Of having to play, having to go play against those league, but Michkov is playing in the KHL, which is arguably the second best league in the NHL in the world. And then Carlsson's playing in the SHL, which is third at worst, fifth best league. And these guys are playing against grown men at their age and doing stuff that we haven't seen in years. So that is why I lean towards those two over Will Smith, because what they're doing now against grown men, it's more translatable and there's less guessing of what's going to happen when the competition gets stiffer, because they're already playing against insane competition right now and producing against grown men, right? KHL, second best league in the world. SHL, third, at worst, fifth, right? So that is why I lean towards those guys. So that is going to do it for me tonight. Again, thank you guys for hanging out. I think we got to 61. So you guys are the best. I appreciate you guys for supporting me. Be back tomorrow. We're going to look at trade up history, especially with that second pick, that Devils pick and the Sharks. If you package those two together, what have we seen recently? How far can the Sharks go, and who would put them in range for? So make sure you guys are following along, subscribing wherever you get podcasts. Watch on YouTube. If you haven't watched, if you're watching now, click the like button, click the subscribe button. I appreciate you guys very much. Again, picking fourth in this draft is insane. So go check out Locked On, plenty of the Locked On Bay Area shows right now. You got Locked On Warriors in the playoffs. You got, Locked On Niners breaking down the draft. You got Locked On Giants, Locked On A's, all the fun stuff. That'll be it. Follow the show, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Locked On Sharks. Follow me on Twitter at MyFryHole. And bye, friends. Where's the button? Bye, friends.